For over 80 years, Wittrock Motor Company, a third-generation family-owned dealership, has been investing in the Carroll area since 1935. The story begins there, in 1935, when Michael August Wittrock went to work for his cousin, Kelly Stallman, at Stallman Motor Company in Carroll. Then in 1940, Wittrock bought the dealership and is still in continuous family ownership. In 1970, Wittrock bought a familiar and historic building from Mort Mackey, previously McCoy Motors. That building, which sits at Highway 30 and North Carroll Street, housed the dealership until 2005, when Mike's son Michael Ernest and grandson Kevin moved to the new facility, which anchors the west side of Carroll at Highway 30 and 71. All along the way, the Wittrock family has been a huge part of the Carroll area and will continue to do so. Wittrock Motor Company of Carroll since 1940. Tyler Brunner here for another Wittrock Motor Company Student Athlete of the Month interview. Here this month we have Miss Kora Obrecht. And before we get started, I want to thank Wittrock Motor Company for having us here at Arriva, at the gym, at a very empty, quiet gym here today. The Student Athlete Spotlight, again, sponsored by Wittrock Motor Company of Carroll, a third-generation dealership that started over 80 years ago. Wittrock Motor Company is a proud supporter of all of our area students and athletes. Kora, great to have you here on this interview. I know we've talked throughout your whole entire high school career, but we're talking a little bit more about your sporting career, about your high school career, and it's great to kind of have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Kora, let's just get started off just with kind of what's happened recently in your high school career. You just got wrapped up with the volleyball season. Yep. Maybe not the way you wanted it to all end, but talk to me what it was like here in your senior season. You've played with the senior group since you were little. I mean, I remember you were yay tall. You guys were playing volleyball and having fun and everything. What is it like to kind of have that all kind of wrapped up?
It's kind of a sad feeling knowing that we've been playing volleyball and of course other sports together since I think it was 3rd or 4th grade maybe, and just we've created this bond where we just know how each other plays, and now moving on from that is just going to be something that's hard to lose. And
obviously you're now going to be going on, you got basketball, you got track coming up, and you still have some sports left, but yeah, talk about that bond that you've developed with those girls. You talked about playing since 3rd or 4th grade. How did that kind of culminate onto the court?
Well, when you only have 10 kids in your class, you guys really join a bond, and then having sports together every day, you really get a bond going. So I would say we're all pretty good friends, and we all hang out together, and yeah, it's just a good bond that we've created.
And talk to me just about how the love of sports started with you. When did it all kind of get started, and what were some of your favorite sports playing growing up?
Growing up, I would probably say softball was my favorite sport. Well, baseball back then.
Right.
I got into sports from my cousin Jaden Smith. Growing up, we just kind of always did something together. And yeah, I would definitely say growing up I loved playing sports and being athletic, and I love that now I say coach or help, but my sister says criticize.
Right.
I help her, and I can definitely see that she's coming along really good.
Absolutely. Obviously, we're not only talking about your sporting career here at Arriva, but we're talking about what you do outside and inside of the school. Talk to me just about some of the other activities you're involved in here at Arriva.
At Arriva, I am part of the NHS Student Council. I can't remember what else, like Rocket Media, that kind of stuff. But outside of school, I am in 4-H and I work.
Talk to me about your work. We talked about it just before we got started here today. You help people who have mental disabilities. What kind of drove that decision to go into that kind of work?
So Hannah Krause and Sophie Jackson actually did it before me. And well, when Hannah graduated, they needed someone else to come help work. Right. And I've always been interested in the medical career field, and I knew I wanted to go be in it. And my mom was like, this will be a good start to just help you get like a base layer. Yeah. And so I told Sophie I would go out and help her, and I love it.
What are some of the things that you do at that job?
We kind of work with like helping them, and like we get them ready and we feed them and we like make their medicine, which is really interesting because I've kind of learned like how different medicine helps different things.
Right.
And we just kind of like not keep them entertained, but like do fun stuff with them, which I think is really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just also talked about kind of what you want to do coming out of high school. You want to get into radiology.
Yep.
Talk to me what kind of sparked that interest.
When I tore my ACL and my meniscus, I had a lot of doctor's appointments, and one of them being x-rays and MRIs. And I talked to the ladies that were doing them, and they were super nice. And the job, I've always been interested in, like, not like the body, but the human body.
Yeah, the inner workings.
Yeah. And I don't know, I just think that would be cool to be able to see those pictures every day and, like, know what's wrong and, like,
so through probably one of the worst points of your athletic career, getting injured, kind of sparks the interest. So some of the best comes out of the worst. Talk to me a little bit about your injury. I know you were out for a good portion of your junior year.
Yep.
You were nursing an injury for a little bit. Now I'm going to criticize you. You weren't on crutches. I was surprised a little bit, but talk to me just about that injury and it's sort of the processes you were going through.
So it happened the second game of the season, right away in the first quarter, which was really a bummer. And, you know, it was really hard on me at first, knowing that I was going to be out for a really long time. And I kind of had hope that, like, oh, maybe I would come back from it, because the week after I tore my ACL and my meniscus and that stuff, I was back. I could walk on my own, I could run, I could all that stuff, and I was really, like, hopeful for it. But then we went and the MRI confirmed it, and that's kind of when I was, like, at my lowest. But my doctor, I would have to give credit to my doctor. He pushed me a lot. And yeah, I would say between him, my mom, and my dad, they just had a pace for me, and I just had to keep going.
Well, and I know that you, of all the girls here at Arweva, you were kind of the one who wanted to get back on the court as quick as possible. Talk to me about that first game back, because if I'm thinking right, you weren't there during the spring season. Did you come back during softball, is that correct?
I did.
So talk about getting back to the field and what that felt like.
So they actually released me 2 months early because I had made so much progress, which was definitely heart-lifting and amazing. And all the girls were really excited and my coaches were really excited, but I just remember coming back. I wouldn't say I was nervous, but I definitely was like, it was almost like I wasn't used to it.
Sure.
But then after the first quarter of softball, I was like, all right,
we're back. And obviously, you're a senior here this year. You're kind of wrapping up your high school career. It's hard to believe, we're in the winter. You're going to be coming into the spring here soon. Talk to me what it's been like here at Arweva. Obviously, I know you guys go over to Carroll for a large majority of classes. So what has it been like to develop friendships and relationships over in Carroll and also be here at Arweva?
Well, freshman year, like all freshmen, it was kind of hard. Like, nobody really knew each other, but now that I'm a senior and I have 5 classes over at Carroll, I could probably go up to most of them and have a general conversation and feel comfortable. And the teachers there are super nice to us. And here at Arweva, it's just one big, huge family. So I think high school's going pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me just about some of the classes you're involved in and some of your favorites.
So I am involved in anatomy and physiology, which is one of my favorites just because it deals with, like, medical stuff.
Right.
And then I take Spanish, physics, speech, comp, and then government and rocket media.
Any favorite teachers that you got here this year?
My favorite teacher would be Miss Lee from Carroll. She's a Spanish teacher. She's just a sweetheart.
Absolutely. Talk to me just about after high school. What are your plans? What kind of colleges have you applied to? Have you seen? Just sort of the thoughts on life after high school.
I'm really excited for life after high school. I have applied to a few colleges, and thankfully I've gotten in everywhere I've applied. But there's a few medical schools, which I'm really hoping I can go to one of those, such as like Allen or Mercy or Clarkson.
Sure.
But they all start in the summer semester.
Gotcha.
And that is not possible for me this year.
Right.
So I plan on going to Iowa Central or DMAC for a year.
Sure.
And just getting my gen eds and getting a head start on some of the classes, and then I'll transfer in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to get you all on that softball field, hopefully, and everything. But so obviously going to go into radiology. Are you nervous at all about the next step in life?
I was going into senior year. I was super nervous. Didn't know where I wanted to go. I've known for a while that I wanted to be this.
Right.
But yeah, I was nervous. Didn't know where I wanted to go. But my mom is very make sure you apply, make sure you look around,
Right.
know what you want to do for sure, and that's definitely helped a lot. I'm feeling good.
Absolutely. Getting back kind of to the sports side too, we got basketball coming up here for the Arweaver Rockets, and you'll be one of those senior leaders on the team. You said good enough numbers, at least from the start, from what it looks like coming out here this year, around 15 to 20. What's sort of the thoughts on the basketball season? What are some goals early on you're going to be setting for yourself?
My thoughts on the basketball season, I would say I'm thankful a lot of girls are going out. I think Coach Smitty is a huge reason that a lot of them are going out. And I think with our numbers that we have, we'll be able to use more talent and stuff. We haven't always been blessed with the best numbers.
Sure.
And so this is like joyful for me, kind of like a good sign. Some of my goals this year, I just hope we do good. And advance from what we were last year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the one thing with teams like this, you don't get the numbers and then, kind of things happen. But the sounds of it, numbers are going to be good, and there's some really good goals that are attainable here for this year's team. Other things that I wanted to talk about, one of the high points of your high school career, at least sports-wise, getting down to state track. Your sophomore year for the shuttle hurdle, obviously you get injured, Amber Regaler takes your place. They still get down to state, which is impressive. But the one thing I think that's even more impressive than any of that, of getting down to state, you guys don't have a formal track. You guys don't have an all-weather track. So talk to me how that works and how you guys were able to get down to state twice with no formal track.
Okay, so my freshman year track, obviously we didn't have it, so that was hard. Nobody knew what to expect going into sophomore year. And I think we had 7 girls on the team. And obviously you need 4 for a relay. So 4 of the 7 of us were on this relay. And we actually got down there in 2 relays and then like 3 or 4 solo events, which was amazing, especially considering we don't have a track and we do hurdles right there. That is where we practice.
Because you literally put the blocks in the bathroom.
Yeah, we put the blocks in the girls' bathroom, and there are Sharpie marks along the gym that we use, and then we put mats on that wall back there so that we don't hit the wall.
I do remember those days too. I mean, you make the best of what you got, and obviously you guys found a lot of success. But talk to me about that feeling. Sophomores, you hadn't run since middle school. You guys are down for the first time at Drake Stadium. It's a large crowd that year. What were the feelings like?
It was, I would say the feelings were surreal, just because going down there, knowing we were only sophomores, we hadn't ran since 8th grade. It was like, we didn't know what to expect that year, and I thought as the year progressed, we got getting better and better, and we were like, we actually have a really good chance, and then we made it, and we were all just kind of like freaking out. And then we were like, the day of, we were like, everybody just relax, like we're here, we made it, nothing to worry about now. And then we made finals, and it was just like, oh my God, who knew we could do that?
And obviously this year you're going to be back on the track for the girls. You'll kind of be that nice piece back on the team. Amber Regaler hopefully will be back to be kind of a replacement if anything happens. Knock on wood, hopefully nothing does. What are the goals for that team this year? I know we're kind of looking a little bit farther down the road than we need to, but what sort of the time goals you guys are looking for to improve upon?
So I think last year, and I know our time at state was 2:10, and I think they got that last year too, which I think hopefully this year, with all of us being seniors and having more experience, and we go to the weight room every other day, I think we will definitely be able to cut off some time from what we had.
Absolutely. One last thing we want to do just to wrap everything up. Your senior year's finally here. You know, you're getting things done. You're looking forward to the future. Talk to me just about what sports has taught you in the last 4 years, and even just throughout your entire life.
One thing I would say sports has taught me is how to just be calm and like relax, because obviously basketball is a very physical sport, and like sometimes in volleyball, one little mistake can just completely change the game, and sometimes you just gotta like stop and be like, it's okay, and like you just gotta remember everything's okay, and that it'll all get back to itself once in a while.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, Kora, a great honor that we have here for Wittrock Motor Company Student Athlete of the Month. Of course, we'll talk to you throughout the basketball season, and we wish you good luck against that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Again, this student athlete interview is brought to you by Wittrock Motor Company, third generation dealership that started over 80 years ago. Wittrock Motor Company is a proud supporter of all of our area student and athletes.